Tonight on ATV News, President Sasha Gilthorpe responds to a new Title IX complaint from an AU student.
President Obama visits Cuba.
And DC's cherry blossoms reach peak bloom.
ATV News starts now.
On Friday, the Pentagon reported that second-in-command of ISIS was killed in a U.S. airstrike. The plan was originally to kidnap the ISIS financier, but troops fired on and killed him instead. The report comes 3 days after the ISIS bombing attacks in Brussels. Defense Secretary Ashton B. Carter said that because of American efforts, the ISIS threat was weakening in many aspects.
This week, President Barack Obama and his family made a historic visit to Cuba, where they met with Cuban leaders and enjoyed Cuba's beautiful scenery. The visit, which coincided with Sasha and Malia's spring break, was the first presidential visit to Cuba since 1928. Now we go to Casey Wexler with this week's entertainment report.
Hello everybody, I'm Casey Wexler, giving you the latest entertainment headlines from this week. Hulk Hogan has come out victorious after winning a $115 million in a privacy lawsuit he filed against Gawker. Hulk Hogan, whose real name is Terry Bollea, sued the website for publishing a video of him having sexual intercourse with his former best friend, Bubba Clem's wife. Hulk Hogan claimed he had no idea he was being recorded. Of the $115 million settlement, $60 million was awarded for emotional distress, $55 million for economic damages, and $25 million in punitive damages, which also includes $10 million to be paid by Gawker CEO Nick Denton. The former wrestler described the relief he felt following the verdict on Good Morning America Wednesday, but continues to say that the whole situation is embarrassing and that he will live with this forever. Hogan is one of the few celebrities suing for privacy issues, and it looks like courts will take these issues more seriously going forward. On lighter news, actor Orlando Bloom and singer Katy Perry are slowly but surely becoming Hollywood's it couple. The two were seen being extremely flirty during some Golden Globes parties, and since then, they have been seen at an Adele concert and traveling to Hawaii, London, and Santa Barbara, where they were seen engaging in a steamy kissing session while at San Ysidro Ranch. So what's next for the happy couple? We shall see. For Entertainment News, I'm Casey Wexler. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Casey. The outgoing student government president responded to a new Title IX complaint Friday. The complaint was filed after a student was forced to sign a confidentiality agreement. President Sasha Gilthorpe said that she believed the policy was a necessary one, but was flawed in its implementation. Vice President for Campus Life, Gail Hansen, said the policy would be reevaluated.
Several days after the deadly attack in Brussels, the Islamic State carried out another bombing in the Deadly Triangle in Iraq, where a suicide bomber killed 25 people in a soccer stadium. ISIS claimed responsibility for the attack in an online statement posted by supporters after the fact. For this week's finance report, let's go to Cody Cohen.
Hello, I'm Cody Cohen, and here's what's happening in the world of finance. What a well-performed week for the market. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 303 points this week. However, the Dow was up small 13 points on Thursday, closing the market at 17,515 points due to increased expectations for an interest rate hike. The S&P 500 had a neutral week, closing at 2,035 points. The S&P was down less than a point on Thursday. The Nasdaq was up small on Thursday, around 24 points, closing at 4,773. Making headlines this week was the U.S. economy. March U.S. employment reports and other key economic numbers next week could help U.S. stock resume their recent winning path. Reports on the housing market could also draw investors' attention, given recent sharp gains in home builder stocks. These two economic indicators are signs of improvement in economic growth. That's your finance report. Now back to you guys.
Thanks, Cody. Now let's hear from Chris Schneider with the Politics Report.
I'm Chris Schneider with ATV Politics. This week, as many Republicans in Congress continue to vow to block the nomination of President Obama's Supreme Court nominee Merrick Garland, a CNN poll found that the majority of Americans do not agree. 52% of those polled said that Garland should get a hearing and a vote in the Senate, with 15% unsure. Some Republican senators have also broken with the ranks and called for hearings. Garland was nominated on March 16th following the death of Justice Antonin Scalia last month. Also this week, there were 3 primaries that took place on Tuesday. In Arizona, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump easily won the contests. Further north in Utah and Idaho, however, Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz scored big. In Arizona, there were calls for the Department of Justice to investigate disenfranchisement after citizens waited upwards of 5 hours to vote in some places around Phoenix. And finally this week, President Obama became the first sitting United States president to visit Cuba since 1928. The president was greeted by cheers of the Cuban people and a grand welcome by Cuban President Raul Castro at the presidential palace. However, Castro did not meet Obama on the tarmac. The two met and discussed Cuba's future, including the nation's need to move forward and become less oppressive. Obama said Castro expressed willingness to cooperate. The American delegation included President Obama, the First Lady, their 2 daughters, the Secretary of State, and other top officials. President Obama then flew on to Argentina. I'm Chris Schneider. This has been ATV Politics.
Thanks, Chris.
It is interesting to think about the Senate and about Congress refusing to hear the president's nomination.
I know, and the president has said that he's fulfilling his duty and they should fulfill theirs too, and I tend to agree.
Me too.
Well, 17 elephants got new homes in the United States this week after being flown all the way from Swaziland. The elephants, who range in age from 6 to 25, were moved into the Dallas Zoo in Texas, a zoo in Wichita, Kansas, and a zoo in Omaha, Nebraska. The spaces in all 3 zoos reportedly provide the elephants with plenty of room to roam around. Now for the latest in world news, let's hear from Amaya Gomez.
Hello, I'm Amaya Gomez, and this is your World News Report. Saudi Arabia's counterterrorism court sentenced journalist Alaa Brinhi to 5 years in prison for tweets defending women's rights. The court also placed an 8-year travel ban and demanded that Brinhi pay a fine of approximately $13,300 US and close his Twitter account. His charges include insulting the rulers, inciting public opinion, and ridiculing Islamic religious figures. Amnesty International, an organization focused on human rights, is currently fighting for his release and is calling for President Obama to speak for prisoners' freedom when he visits Saudi Arabia in April. In other news, Pope Francis washed and kissed the feet of Muslim, Christian, and Hindu refugees on Holy Thursday. He reenacted the foot washing ritual Jesus performed on the apostles that represents an act of service. Pope Francis included women in the ceremony after changing the rules in 2013, which shocked many Catholics. Several refugees wept of gratitude as he called Francis stated that we have different cultures and religions, but we are all brothers and we all want to live in peace. 3 suspects were arrested in Paris in connection to the Brussels terrorist attack last Tuesday. Officials conducted a series of raids in which 2 of the suspects suffered leg injuries. Several others have been detained in the search for those responsible. Belgium officials are still on high alert. However, they do not believe that there will be another attack. This has been your World News Report. Now back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Amaya.
You know, it's always so great to hear about Pope Francis, and I think he's really such a pope of the people, don't you?
Yeah, it's very interesting to hear about him honoring rituals that we haven't heard about in a while.
Mm-hmm. And including new people.
A Japanese research ship returned after killing around 300 whales, close to 200 of which were pregnant. The research was an attempt to figure out how to manage minke whale populations in the Antarctic. The research ship reportedly met with no opposition from anti-whaling activists.
And this week marked peak cherry blossom season here in the District of Columbia, with the warm weather bringing the peak about a week earlier than usual. Typical peak bloom lasts a few days to a week, so make sure to head downtown soon to get yourself that new spring profile picture.
During a rally on Friday, Senator Bernie Sanders had an unexpected visitor. In the middle of the Portland campaign event, a bird landed first near him during his speech, then moved to stand with him at the podium to the cheers of the crowd. The senator smiled and shook his head. His speech did not continue until the bird had flown away. Now let's hear this week's weather from Lila Nasser.
Hello everyone, I'm Lila Nasser here with your weekly weather forecast. Now, a bit of wet, rainy weather is expected in the DC region this Monday as a cold front comes in from the Pacific. On Tuesday, though, be prepared to bring out your sunglasses because the sun is here to stay. That is until Thursday, when rainstorms from the Midwest are expected to bring participation to the East Coast through Friday. Temperatures for the month, however, are forecasted to be warmer than average across the northern tier of the United States. In the DC region specifically, highs are expected to be in the 60s and lows in the 40s. Thanks guys for tuning in. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Lila. I must say, even if I am excited for the warm weather, I do like a good thunderstorm once in a while.
That's true. It can be nice to have that change of pace in the weather every once in a while.
Well, that's it for this week's news. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. I'm Adina Marks.
And I'm Michaela Amos. Thanks for watching.